All right, guys. Today I'm excited to show you guys how to set up playlists. These are essentially dedicated wheels for a system genre of games and across all platforms. So get ready. All right, guys. Have you guys ever wondered if you could just play all of the Mega Man games on one wheel, regardless of system, or the Smash Brothers series on any system? Well, now you can, and it's absolutely awesome. It's a little tough finding the media, or making the media, if you will, but once you've got all of that set up, it's absolutely awesome. I will put in a plug for Retro Humanoid. He's already done a lot of the legwork, and it's the original reason why I looked into how to sort of batch these playlists. And you're going to notice that I'm going to use a couple tools. I'm going to use an Excel spreadsheet, going old school here. I'm sure there's better ways here, but it gets the job done. And then I'm essentially just creating duplicate files, and I'm going to batch rename these things. So the end goal is to essentially have an any file that we're going to be placing in the settings folder of Hyperspin. We're also going to have a root media folder. These are going to be renamed, and we're just going to drop those in. And then a tutorial that we haven't gone through yet is XML Spin. I did a lot of the beta testing and the requirements gathering for that app, and I don't know if it's necessarily being utilized based on its potential of what it should be doing and what people should be using it as. A lot of you guys are using that as a hyper search replacement, but ultimately the requirements that I was requesting Romano to basically create is essentially a way to play games across systems, and it turned out to be more of a hyper search sort of copy. But now that we're having this tutorial, I'm going to show you how awesome playlists actually work. And the beauty behind this Hyper XML Spin is it doesn't take any additional space on your hard drive, because it is basically doing system links to the media that you already have. So that's exciting, and the possibilities are endless. So we're going to get started here. So what I've done is I've got an any folder and a media folder. This is just for the tests, but you guys are basically going to end up doing the same thing, and it's pretty easy. So I'm going to open up this any folder. This can be anywhere on your desktop. This is the only purpose of this is just to get these files duplicated so you can do a batch. So what I'm going to do for this edition is I'm going to be focusing on a God of War collection and a Super Smash collection. So I'm just going to copy this any file, and I'll post this on the Mega. You will have to actually edit just two things in this file. It's the path, so where your Hyperspin is, and the parameter where Hyperspin is. Everything else should stay the same, as long as you like the wheel off to the right and the pointer, sort of the standard setup that you guys typically have. It's the default setup that Hyperspin comes with. You can play with some of these features. Essentially, as long as you're happy with the items in this any file, then we're going to basically mass produce this however many times you guys need, and then the names of the games that you're after. So it's just the standard any file that you guys are used to. I just copied one of my any files that I previously was using, and I just ended up changing the exe info, which is the most important part here. The exe is hyperxmlspin.exe. So it's the bolts to all of this, but we'll keep going here. So I'm going to basically copy that .ini file, and you're going to see here. So let's say you had like 50 games that you're wanting to wheelize, if you will. You're just going to keep Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and you'll just keep on pasting like crazy. So in this example, what you're going to want to do is, once you've done 1 or 2 copies here, you're going to see that these 2 aren't numbered. You'll just end up numbering this so we get all of these here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're essentially going to rename those. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be focusing on 2, kind of give you the feel of everything and how all of this works. So right now we're focusing on updating the .ini files that we're going to be dropping into Hyperspin. So we're going to put this on pause and just kind of put this off to the side because this is essentially ready. All we've got to do is rename these files. What I've created here is in Excel. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. And it's you let Windows 10. I'm sure Windows 7 supports the same feature here. But what I've done is in column A, I've just got the file name that we're currently using. So copy 1. And then I've got a list of the playlists that I'm going to set up. So Retro Humanoid, you should check out his channel or his site even, and all of his wheel art is on his site, and you can download that as you will. And I basically just created a list of the wheel art that he's got there. So I've got a list of everything there. He's got a total of 200 wheels there. So I've got 200 wheels that are playlists available. And then column C is the command prompt that we're going to be utilizing here. So when you guys are actually doing this yourself, what you guys are going to want to do is get your list of games. I'm sure you could batch a list of names based on some wheels, but this might have taken, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to just type through the stuff. It's you just kind of have to grind through it, and the results will be amazing. So this column C is a concatenated equation, and I'm just basically getting ren, which is a command prompt statement, and I'm taking the file name from column A, which is at copy 1, and I'm putting an .ini label to the end of it because that's the name that it's going to be searching for in our file here, and it's going to replace the file name to the game name, which 19xx .ini. So we're going to focus on this bit first, and I'll talk to a little bit about it on this side. So it seems pretty complex, guys, but it's super easy. So the example that we're after right now, because I've got a war and Super Smash to the playlist, all I'm going to do is open up command prompt. You can just click here, type in command cmd, and I'm going to hit enter. All right, so what we've got to do here first is we've got to find the path that we're at. So we're going to type in cd, and then we're going to find the folder that you guys place the .ini files at. So here, and I'm just going to right click and copy that, and then I'm going to go back to command prompt, and I'm just going to hit Control V, and that's going to stick that path in there, and I'm going to hit enter. So now we're at the command prompt saying, okay, this is the folder that we're looking at, which is here. You're going to notice that the copy 1 and 2 are going to end up being changed because on the Excel spreadsheet, you want to make sure that these names match up. So copy, copy 1, copy, copy 2, and there's the names. That's what it's going to be called. So I'm just going to copy column C, Control C there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that in here, and you're going to notice there's something wrong here. And the reason why there's something wrong here is see here, the INI. So this is, good learning here for everyone. And let's fix this. So I tried to prep this ahead of time. So sorry guys. So first bit, we're changing the INI file names. We're going to be later changing the folder names. So I accidentally grabbed the folder names. Apologize guys. Stumbling all over the place here. So I'm going to do this again. So we are at the player list tutorial INI folder, and that's where we're at. We're going to paste that in there, and there we go. So this is saying that copy 2 was changed to Super Smash, copy 1 was changed to God of War. And just so you guys know, I do everything on my first take, so whatever spews out of my mouth is what you guys get. So enjoy that. So here we go. There's the INI folder. You see copy, that's the one that we were messing with. That didn't change because it didn't have the alias of 1 or 2. And then we've got 2 of these INI folders, which is great. That's the intent. So just imagine you having 200 of these, and just instantly you've got everything set up on that end. So next, what you're going to do is you're going to open up your Hyperspin setup here, go to settings, and you're just going to drop those in. I've already done that ahead of time to prep for the video here. So just drag those over, and you are on your way. We've just got a few more steps to complete. So I'm going to go back to our test folder here. I'm going to go back, and then we've got a media folder. So what we're trying to do right now is create the media folder. So it's got the structure, if you will. So I'm going to open up one of these. All of these are blank folders here, except for the other folder. I created a pointer for God of War, which is here. I'm kind of okay with this. I kind of like it. And then I've got a couple standard things that I have across my system. I've got special artwork that I always like to see, and then genre art in the top right corner. So that's why those are populated. And then if we go to copy 2, the pointer here for Super Smash is here. Which again, I'm okay with it. I feel pretty good there, so I'm going to leave that there. And then we're on to renaming. So same thing as what we were doing with the INI folder. If you wanted to have 200 playlists, you would just keep copying and pasting like crazy. And once you're done, we're just going to be copying the names here in column C. So what I did before I started up the video, what we have is, equation here. You can just drag that all the way down. I'll include the spreadsheet in the description below. And all I did when I was done with the INI files, I just ended up highlighting the bit that I wanted. Since this is an example, I've got multiples here, but I could see when you guys are doing this, you could just highlight column C, hit Control F to find, and then what we're going to do is we're going to find .ini, and if I could type .ini, there we go, and we're just going to replace it with blank because we're trying to replace the folder names. So there we go. So we are replacing copy 1 with God of War, and all we're going to do is we're going to copy that folder name because that's the location of where we're trying to rename our stuff, and we're just going to paste that in there. Oh, sorry, CD. So whenever you guys are changing folder paths, you want to put CD in and then the folder path. So Otherwise, it spits out an error like that. And here we go. So we are ready to rename copy 1 and 2. You guys could have 200. I'll watch the magic happen. Here, I'll kind of throw this to the side so we can actually see it happen. But it's basically instant, guys. It's amazing. Computers are awesome. So that's all we've got to do here. That's the intent of the spreadsheet. It's just getting a list of all of the games that you guys are wanting to update and create playlist wheels, and we're just creating that command line or the command prompt statement that we're renaming those files. So I'm going to go ahead and close command prompt, and now we've got our media. So it's important that you're doing these things in unison here. This is step 2, getting that media and dropping those in your Hyperspin setup. So I'm going to go to Hyperspin, media, and I've already done this ahead of time to prep, and we're just going to drag those over, drop them in here, and you've got the media set up for Hyperspin. But now you're going to say, wait a minute, we don't have the box art, we don't have the wheel art, where are we going to get those? Hold on to your pants, guys. We are going to use a XML spin. This is going to create those system links that I was talking about earlier. But before we do that, what we're going to do is go to database. We're going to go to main menu. Remember, I've got the nested wheels set up, so your main menu will look a little different. But I would say you're going to want the nested wheel, otherwise you will literally have like 400 some wheels, and you'll be looking just like one of those drive sellers that have 400 wheels and say they have everything, and it's a utter mess. You don't want 400 wheels on one single wheel, guys, believe me. So the nested setup here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to playlist, and that XML is going to have every playlist that you want. You're going to notice I've got hyper search on every nested wheel. I've also got top games. I've created my own XML of top games, and then Fightcade seems to fit well in here as well. So here's all the playlists. There's a lot of them, guys. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that the files that we were just updating, we're going to look at column G here. I guess before we do that, basically column E is parsing of some of the XML file, and then F is the other part of the XML file, and this column G is a concatenation of those two plus the game name. So everything's contingent on that game name, and that's how this is beautiful here. So from your guys' standpoint, all you've got to do is copy E, F, and G, drag that down, and it's going to automatically fix things for you. So I'm going to just delete some of these empty spaces just for the sake of example, so you can easily see what's going on. When you guys are doing it, you probably aren't going to be doing it the way I'm doing it, because I've got 2 examples here. I've got God of War and Super Smash INI, and then God of War, Super Smash, the folders. If I were doing this fresh out of the gate, I would just rename all the INI files, and then when I was done with that, I would highlight column C, hit Control F to find, replace INI with blank, and then it's going to change everything to not have any INIs, so everything would look clean like that, and you would have just one solid list in column G. So right now it's kind of broken up here, but for sake of example here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy column G here, and I'm going to go to my playlist, and I'm going to alphabetize it based on where I want it. So I end up pasting that there. You could easily order all of this by column B if you wanted to. You can do that just by clicking data up at the top, hit filter, and you could hit A to Z, and that would fix that for you. So you could essentially just copy this whole column G and paste it in this playlist XML. That's what I essentially ended up doing when I was setting this up. So the beauty of this, I'm doing 2 right now. You could essentially do the exact same for 200 in the same amount of time. I'm sure there might be an easier way on doing this, but this made a lot of sense to me. Just the background that I have, this made sense. So outside of that, I've got BlissBox at the bottom of this. If you guys have BlissBox, I would recommend adding that to your wheel, just so you can plug in controllers at will and then reset them without touching that box ever again. I've got a cabinet. But anyhow, so we've got the XML statement in the playlist. So you can go ahead and close. So far we've got the system or the settings INI files completed. We've got the media folder for the 2 system playlists completed. And we've got the main menu playlist added to this. So we're almost done, guys. So this is probably the longest part of everything, but it's super easy to do. So you guys will have a later tutorial, maybe tomorrow, on how to use HyperXMLSpin, but it's in your root Hyperspin folder. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to minimize these first. So HyperXMLSpin starts off minimized. So I'm just going to go to my system tray, and I'm going to click HyperXMLSpin. And what you're going to see is you're going to basically see GUI. Why is it not opening here? Here we go. So what you're going to see here is a GUI here, and you're going to push this little plus sign off to the right. I'm sort of doing a mini tutorial now on how to use this thing. It does look like the resolution is a little funky for whatever reason. I'm going to close that and reopen it. Probably because it was losing focus or something. Anyway, so what we've got here is we want to add tools. Well, we're going to push tools here. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit save and main menu. We're going to call this your playlist. So what I would do is say Super Smash Brothers, and you want to spell it exactly the same way as what you renamed it based on that spreadsheet. And then you just go to the name up at the top, Super Smash Bro, and you're going to hit OK. And it already exists, which okay, I wasn't planning on. So here, let's back up here. So if you guys won't have to actually edit. Well, here. Well, what the heck? We're gonna do this. We're gonna hit save. We're gonna go main menu, and we're gonna say Mario. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna search for Mario here. Well, I'm gonna have that. I'm struggling, guys. So yeah, I already have a system wheel for Mario. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back. We're gonna edit, and we'll say top games. And I'm going to search for Mario. So what you would do is you would hit Super Smash Brothers, you would save that, you'd select main menu, and then you would just type in Super Smash Brothers. So I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to get you a list of everything Mario related. This is a list. Oh, this is a list of all the top games, guys. So what that did was it gave me a list of all the top games that were in my XML, and that's what it was doing. So at this point, what we're gonna do is kind of talk through HyperXMLSpin, and you'll kind of be able to see it from there, from that standpoint. Well, man, I'm divided here. So I think this is probably what we should do. We're gonna edit. We're gonna go top games. This is okay. This is fine. So regardless of what I put in here, it's gonna search. It's gonna display everything in top games. But when you go to search Super Smash Brothers, you would see only 4 entries if you had that list. So I'm gonna open that up, and you're gonna see let's say 4 Super Smash games. And what you're going to do is you're just going to basically just click and hold down Control and select the games that show up. So you're essentially creating that XML file, and say these were all the Super Smash games. And once you've selected them, you're going to hit the check mark, and this window is going to close, and then you're going to see this load. It'll say completed. Once it finishes, it takes like a second. So with that workflow, you essentially just created your first playlist. So you'll just keep doing that. You'll hit the back button here, and you'll go Tools. You'll say Save. You'll type in your new playlist that you want. So you're going to go Main Menu. You're going to type in some random game. We'll say, trying to think what I don't have. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm stuck. I'm at a loss for words. Man, on the fly, I'm not even sure. What I could do is, yeah, we're just going to go with it. So you could say, Batman, which I know I've got something like that. And when I go Batman up at the top here, and I hit OK, it's going to say it already exists, but that window would appear again. You'd hit Control. Well, you'd hold down Control, you'd select your games and hit the check mark, and then this would fill up, it would turn green, and you'd create your second playlist. So you'd have Batman and Super Smash completed. So you would just keep doing that. This is the most laborious task of that, but I'd say it shouldn't take you more than an hour. Once you get going, it's super quick to get all 200 of those wheels completed. That is also based on your system's database, so it's not something that you guys could easily share because we all have different databases and names potentially. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's the bulk of creating those playlists. So I'm going to hit Escape to close HyperXML all credits go to Romano for creating that app, and I hope you guys can utilize that to create your playlist. And the last thing that we've got to do. So remember, I've got the nested setup. Remember when we were setting that up, we had talked about when you guys add anything to your nested setup, you've got to update the metadata to your nested wheel. So this will be a good example of what that looks like. So you're just going to click, so what I did is I clicked main menu changer HQ. That comes with that main menu changer tutorial that we talked through the other day. And you're going to click run wizard again. It's going to say, are you sure? You're going to say absolutely yes. It's going to give that standard message of how everything works. I'm just going to hit OK. And you're going to change that MMC mode 0 back to 3. You're going to hit save. It's going to say settings saved. And there's the other backup bit, and then another one will show up. All XMLs already exist. It cannot be modified, blah, blah, blah. And then it's going to say add metadata. That's what we care about. And what I typically like to do, so once all that happens, then Notepad++ shows up, and it just shows you the XML file for all. I'm going to close that, and then it says now opening back up the exe file that we were at before. What I like to do, just for safety's sake, I mean, nothing bad happens, but we're talking the metadata here. That metadata sometimes doesn't stick, so I just end up doing it again, and I go through the process again. I hit yes, to the wizard, I select the mode back to 3 and I hit save. I hit OK to all those pop-ups that show up, and I crossed my fingers that the metadata had saved, and I know that the metadata ends up saving because in Hyperspin, if I go to those wheels, you'll see, did it retain your settings? Like meaning, does the wheel look the same? So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go to playlists here. So there's the intro that I end up using. And then we're going to enter here. And what I typically do is I just double check to see if everything looks good. So everything that you see here, the wheel art all came from Retro Humanoid. He did a great job, and same with the video previews. Those were all created by Retro Humanoid, so I strongly recommend, if you guys are trying to add playlists to your system, check out his media on his site. So we're going to go to Super Smash Brothers. So I don't have any fancy media right now on this, but I'm going to open it. You can see the wheel looks like all of my other wheels. It's taken all of the wheels and the media and the videos from the other systems, and it's a system link. So everything looks uniform, which is fantastic. And I can launch any of these, and it just goes straight to the game as if it was anything else. It uses the phage like with rocket launchers. So I'm going to go to God of War now. I'm going to do a hyperspin. Get to the G's. The one downfall to all this is I can't skip by letter, unfortunately, and that's just the nature of the beast here with this nested wheel. You can do it in your regular, what you would call regular main menu, your regular systems. But when it comes to like playlists and the actual nested, the highest nested wheel, you can't search, you can't like letter jump. But maybe one day we will. So I've got an intro here, and I'm going to open this up. So you see all of the wheels that get sucked up based on HyperXML spin. And yeah, that's it, guys. So created the playlist. You can launch anything. That's all there is to it. So please comment, below in case you run into any stumbles, but that should get the job done. And I'll put the spreadsheet on the Mega site, and some notes in the descriptions. But go ahead and please like, subscribe, and share. Hope you enjoyed it. Have fun. It's a toughie to set up, but you won't regret it. So until next time.